the Madman!
Do you like Relic Demon Hunter? Well, if you do, this Demon Hunter Titans card reveal will make you super excited. And if you don't, start preparing for an eternal winter of Relic Demon Hunter. Jotun the Eternal. 5 mana 4/5 Battlecry for the rest of the game. Cast a copy of the first spell you draw each turn at enemies. Jotun can certainly draw a lot of relics and create a lot of copies for you. The high roll here is you play Jotun on turn 5, and then on turn 6, you draw the Relic of Dimensions, and then you immediately cast a free copy, thus drawing 2 cards with a discount and also making all of your other relics better. This is a card that all value decks would salivate at. Yeah, of course it's not, not good stats, but not negligible stats. But for that effect, it's almost like creating another player to just cast spells with you. It's a mini you who just, every so often casts a cool spell. The most obvious addition is to Relic Demon Hunter. However, if for some reason there's some sort of big spell Demon Hunter, Jotun goes into that one as well. Just some sort of value control deck. Especially when we set up alongside Runic Adornment, 2 mana, discover a spell that costs 3 or less, shuffle 2 copies into your deck that cast when drawn. 2 of the relics of Demon Hunter are both 3 or less. So the big high roll here is Runic Adornment into Relic of Phantasms, I guess on turn 2, and then on turn 3 you play the Relic of Phantasms. I guess the real high roll is then you immediately play your Jotun the Eternal. That is the most obvious deck that this fits into, but a slow value sort of Demon Hunter deck would probably also want this, since you are paying 2 mana to eventually cast 3 spells. Crystalline Statue, 2 mana 5/4 Elemental. Rush starts dormant. After you draw 4 cards, this awakens. I think a comparable card is Dozing Kelpkeeper from Druid, which saw some play, but actually not too much play. Crystalline Statue looks like it would make more sense in some sort of slower value deck, but drawing a bunch of cards, you tend to go to fatigue, and that tends to go against the value/control plan, unless, like, drawing a bunch of cards in Demon Hunter almost inherently means tempo because you need to convert those cards into damage to the face, into threats on the board, etc. And all the cards here are designed that way, so I don't think Crystalline Statue fits into this theme. You also have Argonite Golem, 3 mana 1/5, has +1 attack for each card you've drawn this turn. Note that the turn that this comes down, it is a 2/5. I'm not entirely sure if this becomes a 1/5 on your opponent's turn because you have not drawn a card on their turn. But even if it doesn't, I would say this card probably not good enough. Sure, there's some pretty awesome plays one could think of where you play this on turn 3 and then on turn 4 you draw a ludicrous amount of cards and then you hit the opponent, but I think the times that situation lines up are rare. We have Eridar Deceptor, a 3/5 demon. Whenever you draw a card, summon a 1/1 demon with Rush. Okay, so there's a combo here where you play it, you draw a few cards, you summon some 1/1 demons with Rushes, they die, and then you play Feast of Souls, and then you draw many more cards, and then you summon more 1/1 demons with Rush. And that presumably activates the synergy of, draw a bunch of cards this turn. I don't really think that the payoff is high enough on Eridar Deceptor to justify running Feast of Souls with this specific combo. And then we have Momentum. 5 mana, give your hero +4 attack this turn, costs 1 less for each card you've drawn this turn. So ideally, this will want to be discounted by 3, so that you have a 2 mana, give your hero +4 attack. That kind of still is bad. So ideally, it wants to be discounted by 4 or 5. Now, the tricky part is getting to draw 4 or 5 cards before playing Momentum, especially by not attacking yet, because a lot of the time where you draw a bunch of cards is with Glaivetar. Essentially, I rate this whole package of drawing a bunch of cards on a turn. These are payoff cards for when you do draw a bunch of cards for a turn, And I don't think the payoff is very high compared to the combo type of things that Demon Hunter tends to do when they draw a bunch of cards in a turn. Now, I'm not a Demon Hunter expert, so perhaps someone else can find some sort of home for this package. Next up, we have some fun miscellaneous cards. Mythical Terror, a 7-mana 3/10 Demon Beast with Lifesteal. At the end of your turn, force all enemy minions to attack this. Looks similar to Hollow Hound, which is a very strong card. Such a strong card that it kind of made a new hunter archetype. So, big Demon Hunter might indeed want this. It's a big demon. It helps stabilize the board. I think what's noteworthy though is, unlike Hollow Hound, I don't believe this is enough of a mover to put Big Demon Hunter on the map. Big Demon Hunter is a decent deck. Not super good. Mythical Terror may make it better, but probably not enough better to compete with the other stuff we've seen. Weight of the World. 3 mana, draw 2 cards. Forge. Draw cards until you have as many in hand as your opponent first. So draw until you have as many in your hand as your opponent, draw cards, and then draw 2 more cards. Demon Hunter has a lot of tools to draw from an empty hand, and I don't believe it's worth paying this much mana, 2 plus 3, to draw this, and 3 mana to draw 2 cards. Demon Hunter laughs at that. Finally, we have a really good generic card. Disciple of Argus, 3 mana 2/2, Death Rattle, summon 2 2/2 elementals with taunt. This is probably the biggest example of a card where you certainly can't call it a 3 mana 6/6. But, for sake of simplicity, that is 6/6 worth of stats in a 3 mana card. Slow, but it gets there. I don't believe there's any Demon Hunter deck that immediately wants this type of effect, but the stat line may be good enough that if any Demon Hunter decks were looking to fill in cards, I think you would consider Disciple of Argus. Given that this card is called the Disciple of Argus, it is worth pointing back at the Titan of Argus. The Argus Titan can use the Crystal Carving ability to discover this Disciple of Argus, and then you can pay 0 mana to put the Disciple of Argus on the left side of Argus, the Emerald Star, and then send it in immediately with Rush, and then create 2/2/2s with Taunt, and then have those have Rush as well. Great discover from Argus, the Emerald Star. That might be where we primarily see her. This is a lot more interesting when a Death Rattle Demon Hunter comes around type of cards, because she is good, and you're going to want to keep an eye on her. Perhaps not seeing play immediately, but in the future, I could see. That's a lot of Demon Hunter cards, which I think don't necessarily have a home right now. But the 2 cards by themselves, Jotun the Eternal, as well as Runic Adornment, those 2 particular cards going into a already good deck, and seeming like they'll be excellent cards in that already good deck, that's probably what Demon Hunter will be known for in this set.